Three, two, one. Welcome to the SaaS Pulse Show. My name is Michael Bertoni, and I'm the founder and CEO of SaaS Talent. And it is so awesome to have my guest here, Armen Avakian. I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I knew I was going to pronounce it wrong. Armen Akavi. Say it for the audience. I was.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
You get the name wrong, and it's like, oh man. But why don't you say your name? Yeah.
Armen Avakian.
Avakian. Armen Avakian. It's great to have you on the podcast.
My pleasure, Michael. My pleasure.
So Armen is the co-founder of Hexact, which is a no-code point-and-click business intelligence solution that automates workflow, and it does a lot of things. He's got a Hexomatic. All right. So, I mean, when you have a Hexomatic, you know things are working well. So it's great to have you on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate the invite. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk a little automation with you today.
Let's do it. Let's get right into it. So what I always like to start with is the superhero backstory, right? So can you share your background that led you said you're a co-founder at Hexact. I also saw, congratulations on the 5-year anniversary. So I saw you were there for 5 years. So congratulations on that. So tell the audience about your superhero backstory. What can you share about your background and journey that led you to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm ethnically Armenian, but I was born in Iran, like of all the places, right? But we immigrated to the United States when I was like 1. So obviously I don't remember anything from like the old, Iranian stuff. We moved to Boston. So like I was born and raised basically in Boston, right? I wasn't born there, but more or less born and raised in Boston. That's why I have a little bit of
I hear it.
Bostonian. I don't
the
say
Iranian like, Boston accent. I don't think that's like, you don't hear it that much.
Yeah, it's not like the pack the car like that aggressive, but I still have a Boston in me. I'm still a Celtics fan. What can I say? I can't hide that fact.
Nice.
But I grew up in Boston, and my whole thing was I really wanted to be like an investment banker. That was sort of my from like 8 years old, 9 years old. When they asked me, I wouldn't say like a fireman or a policeman. I would just want to be an investment banker.
That's great.
So I went to like finance, and I did master's degree in finance, and I went into like investment banking. And then I wanted to do my MBA and kind of, grow that into a management role. When I did my MBA, and then I did my MBA in Budapest in Hungary. So I moved. And when I did my MBA in Hungary, I met, my first mentor, and mentoring is extremely important. And I met my first mentor. He was in the marketing industry, like a Coke guy, a Procter and Gamble guy, American. And he kind of introduced me to the world of marketing, and I fell in love, like totally fell in love.
Nice.
I found my calling basically, and then I started working for him. He had a consulting firm, business consulting firm, specializing in data-based segmentation and marketing. So it kind of it scratched my itch of wanting to work with numbers and data and that financial stuff. But at the same time, there was the marketing component of it, which has some more vision, some more, future knowledge, consumer behavior, and I love that kind of stuff. So I kind of shifted into marketing. I was in marketing in that company for 10 years. I made partner. I'm happy to do so. And then, I got to a point where I wasn't challenged anymore. I kind of learned everything I could learn. Things were becoming more day to day. And I really wanted a challenge. So we kind of moved around. At that point, I moved to Spain for a while. I lived there. I moved to Armenia for a while, roots, that kind of thing. So I kind of moved around a little bit as well. And there was a point where I was kind of looking for my new opportunity, and I have 2 really awesome friends, and they had a SAS sort of startup background. And I was interested in getting into the sort of the tech field. I was never there. But I knew I wanted my own product. I was sick and tired of, working my ass off for somebody else's product, as consultants do. I really wanted to have my own. And it was kind of a match made in heaven, because my current co-founder, he just exited like his last company, and he was also looking for his new sort of, journey. And so was I. So we met up. We're like, let's do something together. And we started thinking about it, started brainstorming, and Hexact was kind of was born from there. And that's sort of the journey that brought me to this ecosystem.
So what would you say inspired you to start the company, right? So you got together, the journey up to, okay, we're going to start this company. But what was the thing? Can you recall what crystallized the idea of Hexact? It sounded like your company, your partners had a SaaS company, but like, was the company already started, or was there some idea that brought you to it?
No, the company wasn't started. He exited like his last SAS, and he was out of it at that point. So we were just kind of starting from zero. The idea, it was really born. There was two key things. I'm more of like the numbers person. I really like crunching numbers. I love data and I love databases. I believe that, in God we trust, but all others must bring data. I'm that kind
Yeah,
of person.
I love it.
Um, and he's the CEO, by the way, and he's more of the action. Let's get something done, do it now. Let's move, now, quick decisions, and let's move the business forward. He's the serial entrepreneur. So we kind of combine these two, and we're like, listen, and ultimately the future is going to be data. It has to be, and it has to be action. And action is going to be actually faster. And the more technology and more AI and more data becomes, more robust, the more decision making is going to become faster in businesses. So that's where actually the word hexact comes from. The word
Mhm.
hexact comes from hexadecimal and action. So
Right.
like I'm the hexadecimal sort of, component, and he's the action component.
Action. I love it.
Put it together, we're like, we need to automate. Things need to be automated, digitized, automated. And we just started talking about automation. We started looking at like, Zapier and, UiPath and all these other guys that were kind of RPAs. And are we an RPA? No. Do we want to be an RPA? Not necessarily. So we kind of started figuring out where we might fit, in the overall puzzle of automation. And we started discussing that automation is definitely going to be the future. And I
Mhm.
gotta say, ChatGPT, I mean, we started before ChatGPT came out. And as soon as ChatGPT came out, our user base actually accelerated because everybody realized that what we were saying for 2, 3 years, is true. And ChatGPT was like the proof of concept that everything we've been putting out actually came to fruition and it's happening now. So from that perspective, we're very happy that we were able to see what was coming, and we're just trying to kind of move there and help businesses grow.
Yeah, that is so cool. I mean, so you started doing the automation, Chat GTP comes out and it accelerates your user base. I mean, that's a great story. But tell the audience a little bit about your platform. So when you started, I'd love to hear when you started, you came out with probably a product, and then you got customers, and then you, I think, added products, right? So tell the audience about your platform and how it started. Started with this, and then we got customers and they wanted certain things. So how did that work?
So yeah, we started with a hexameter, and hexameter was sort of just hexameter like a dashboard basically. So like if you have a car, there's a car dashboard and it has a bunch of different data points on it, right? And if something goes wrong, you get like a red light and a switch saying something's going wrong. So we started with something that's kind of simple, easy to do, quick launch. And we're like, now we have to drive traffic. Let's get the first 100 users, 1,000 users, and see how this is going to grow. So what we did is we went through, we went down that lifetime deal path at that
Mhm,
point, and we're like, you
mhm.
know what, we're just sell out lifetime deals, get the first 100, 200, 300 users, paid users in, and then kind of pivot from there and figure out where we need to go. A really cool story about that, by the way, is within that first 100 users, there was a guy, Chris. And these guys, these LTD buyers are great, by the way, because they bring in quick cash, so it's like a big jump of cash.
Nice.
They're not necessarily very expensive to service long term because of, 1,000. When you get to 500 million, 2 million users, the first 1,000, even if their lifetime is not really a big strain on your overall infrastructure. But the
Right.
awesome thing, give shit tons of feedback. Oh, sorry for my French. They give a
No, that's all
lot of
right.
feedback,
Swear
just
away.
a ton of feedback because they're kind of invested, right? They want you to do better so that their lifetime deal has value. So a guy named Chris at the time sent us like a 3-page, no joke, like a 3-page feedback sheet. And it
Nice.
was so detailed to the
Perfect.
point where it's like, put this button, 2 inches to the left, that should be yellow. This flow here is wrong. You need to, the email that you sent me when I registered had, so it was so detailed that we
So great.
basically were like, "All right, here, dev team, here's bug fix, just go do this." So we obviously started talking to Chris, And Chris is now a co-founder and he's our chief marketing officer. So he joined our team. And I think that's one of the best stories you can have when one of your first users is so smart. And, he was already in the SAS field anyway. And we kind of stole him from what he was doing. We're like, why don't you just join us and we're going to do this together? And he did. So we kind of started with that hexameter stuff. And then we're like, this is just the problem with hexameter was just, it's just a dashboard. So it's utility, right? There's not a lot of value in that. So we're like, then we're going to move down to Hexo Watch. So we're like, if we can monitor our own website and put a dashboard for your website, we can hypothetically use the same technology and monitor competitive websites. That's where Hexo Watch came in. Hexo Watch is like an AI drone. It's a spy drone. You're sending the drone to somebody else's site and you're saying, when something changes here, let me know. Either the code or the visual or the content or whatever it is. Basically a cyber spy. It just sits on top of a certain site. And when something changes, it sends you a notification. So we realized that there's more value in that. We launched HexoWatch, went awesome, just flew off the shelf.
Awesome.
But it started plateauing at some point, and we realized why. Because HexoWatch is not job done. HexoWatch is more like a good to have. Yeah, competitive monitoring is great. Yeah, but when things go bad, the first thing they cut is things like monitoring and competitive monitoring, and those budgets just get slashed because it's not actually doing a job. It's just giving you a ping saying something has changed. So it's more like a good to have
Workflow.
No,
I'm feeling it. You're getting a workflow, right?
Yeah, I mean, and this is where the breakthrough came. The third product was Hexomatic, which is our flagship. The breakthrough came when, like, you know what? Why are we screwing around trying to create, SaaS products on our engine? Why don't we just give direct access to the engine and let the users do whatever they want with it, basically?
Right.
They can scrape, they can monitor, they can process data, they can send it to AI and get info. So why don't we just kind of get rid of the middleman, and we're the middleman in this case, and just give them direct access? When we did that, I mean, 80%, 75% of our users are now Hexomatic based. So Hexomatic is like the middle piece of it, and everything kind of flows around it, right? And that became the flagship. And what Hexomatic really is, it's a data extraction tool where you can gather data from anywhere on the web, either data sources like Google Business for B2B lead gen. We have access to the Google Business database. So you can just scrape all of the businesses off of Google
That's great.
Business. Using maps as location if you want, shift location, keywords, and so on. So you can kind of, customize your target. And then you can send all that information to any sort of AI, ChatGPT, a Gemini, whatever, floats your boat, basically. And you can have that data processed and sent back. And you get all of that in a structured Excel sheet instead of it just being random. And the crucial thing that we found is you can do this at scale. So instead of doing it by hand, you can do the entire thing. Like I do my outreach like that. I just do like runs of thousands and thousands of leads. I send it all because what I do also, here's a really cool like little niche insight. What I do is I don't only gather like the email addresses. I actually send my scraper to go to their websites, scrape like the meta tag, the meta description, scrape articles off of their website. I feed all of that content into ChatGPT, and I have ChatGPT write a personalized email for that specific company based on all that data flow that it's receiving. So that every single person in my outreach that's getting an email is actually getting a different email based on specifically what that company is trying to sell to their clients. So it's stuff like that. And that is just done automatic. I mean, I put it on an automatic and it happens on Sunday. And then Monday morning when I get to work, I just open it up. My leads are there, the emails are there, and I have my week basically. So, and I think that's what's crucial.
That's actually a product. That's so we have clients that is actually that thing that you just said, that project is literally a product in and of itself. And it could be done within your platform, right? You're saying.
Exactly. And really that's cool. Just use cases. There's a bunch of use cases like real estate. They're scraping real estate listings. You can scrape Amazon, you can scrape eBay, you can scrape basically if it's on the web, we can scrape it and we can process it. And it's all done with the same platform. So you're just getting Excel sheets of just lines of basically data, and it's, structured how you want it structured. Field one is this, column A, column B, column C. So you can take that information and directly plug it to wherever you need to, or just take it and start writing emails and, use that information. Then we realize that a lot of people are using this, and then they're taking that information and uploading it to other products. For
Mhm.
example, HubSpot, right? They're taking like that B2B lead gen use case.
Right.
They're sending it to HubSpot to automate the emails. So we came up with Hexo Spark. We're like, why not just come up with our own product? They can just upload it to our system and then send
Love
out
it.
email. So, and then we came up with Hexo Fi, which is a one-click scraper. So it's just, you can't do it at scale, but it's easy. It's like a browser extension where you're on the
Mm.
page, click the button, and just scrapes everything and sends it to an Excel sheet.
Oh,
So everything
nice.
kind of revolves around Hexomatic, which is the real engine and the real automation platform, right? And now we have 5 products in the suite, and we're growing.
So yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you keep saying scraping over and over. I love that. I think I need to look at your product, right? I mean, just to let you know, I think I want to see a demo because I mean, I'm always generating leads as well. I mean, I love that use case. I want to learn more. But the
I'm happy.
differentiation. So give the audience just for yourself too, when you go back on this, why why Hexact? Like what's the differentiation against the competitors? Why should people look at your product or buy it?
So there's two key differentiators. One is more how we're different than the AI or the processing part of it, like ChatGPT, and the other one is how we're different than the RPAs like Zapier and the Autumn, because we're automation and we're AI all combined into one, right?
Mm,
So the key difference between the AIs like ChatGPT and these guys is that it's the data that they have. Number one is not fresh and relevant, so it's old data, 22, 21, matters what version you're using, right? So it's not data as of today. That's number one. And much more crucially, number two, it's not structured. So it's not actual data that's happening right now in the real world. It's the AI's interpretation of that data.
mm,
And more so, there's a lot of questions now that when you ask ChatGPT, you used to ask them in the beginning and they answered. Now they're like, you know what, we can't answer this anymore. So there's a data issue that's happening. When ChatGPT is scraping New York Times articles and then reselling that, when it's supposed to be a nonprofit, right? That's what the whole spiel is, right? About OpenAI.
right.
But now they're like aggressively commercializing it, and there's a lot of revenue being created. The data sources, everybody who actually has data, the articles, the New York Times, etc., they're like, you know what? Wait a minute, wait a minute. We gave it to you like a research company, like we would for Harvard University or some sort of. It was supposed to be for research purposes, but now you're aggressively commercializing it. So there's an issue there with who
Hmm.
owns that. So
Right.
in that, get rid of that problem because the data that you're getting is the data that you are getting right now. So
It's
it's going
live.
to right as of right now,
Love it.
grabbing what it is and then sending it to ChatGPT for processing because ChatGPT does process it amazingly. It's just a matter of feeding it data. I personally, from day one, even when I was using ChatGPT, I would always have to copy paste something into it and then have it do something with that specific data set.
Right.
Uh, that's sort of what it is. It's more like an infrastructure. These AIs are more like infrastructure, the LLMs, rather than actual products, right? And we're using it as infrastructure as it's intended to be.
Yeah,
When it
Armin,
comes
I gotta see a demo. I gotta see a demo. But let's
to them,
let's keep rolling here. I got so in terms of talent, right? People, talent, how do you approach that for your company? Right. So I saw you're in Wilmington, but then you moved to Miami, right? So you're in Miami now. I'm sure you're a global company. So how do you
correct.
handle talent, recruiting, all of that for culture for your company?
Uh, that's probably the hardest question to answer, really. I mean, the reality is that there's a couple of key crucial things about our culture. We're extremely result oriented.
Hmm.
So and it's coming from top down. I mean, my partner, my CEO, he's that kind of guy. He's action oriented. We've had no jokes in 5 years now, and from the day we opened, we've had updates to our products every single week. So Friday is launch day.
It's great.
So we've had 5 times 52 at least updates and features that were added. So it's a real like sprint. They call
Right.
it a sprint, but ours is an actual sprint.
Okay. It's
So it's really
52 week sprint.
It's
Love
a
it.
52 sprints. But the crucial aspect of it is that everybody feels like they're actually doing something, they're contributing to something bigger. We give everybody in our company has stock options. Every single employee does.
Nice.
And we're going to continue that for now. So even like the next hires that are going to come in, they're all going to get stock options. So from that perspective, it's almost like you're an investor. We talk to our employees as partners, as investors, because the money that you're making is not going to change your life ever. The salary that you're making is never going to be life changing. It might, boost your quality of life a little bit. You're making a little bit less, now you're making a little bit more, and your quality, you drive a better car, or you drink a better whiskey, but it's not really going to be life changing for you. What is life changing is going to be that stock. And we talk to people that way. When we
Right.
have staff meetings, we actually want people to contribute. We want to say, listen, we don't talk, we have them talk, because we want to know you guys are part of this. If there's something wrong, you need to talk to us like investors. And I think that culture is what kind of spreads through. When it comes to being international, that's extremely true. We actually were looking into Argentina for a while,
Hmm.
kind of putting there some dev team. We didn't go that route. We have a team in Armenia,
Hmm.
ethnically Armenian. It was just easier to set up. It's also very, very cheap compared. Not so much anymore because Armenia is really like taking off in terms of tech and startups and stuff. But still, compared to like US, obviously, it's much, much cheaper.
Yeah.
And then we have like a little team in Poland, like Eastern Europe. So we kind of focused more on the Eastern European area. And then the CEO and that team is in Miami. So that would be like the main sort of engine that's running this. We're fully remote, so we all kind of work from here. I'm sitting in the studio. Obviously, we have like a studio here, a studio there. We have a little, some little assets here and there, just to create content or stuff like that. But they're more like driving business rather
Yeah.
than just an office space where you're going to come and work, because everybody can just work from home. I mean, it's the 21st century, right?
Armen, it has been awesome. I definitely want to see a demo. I want to do some scraping. You keep saying scraping, like I want to do some scraping. So it has been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining. I'm looking forward to following your journey. I'm looking forward to seeing a demo. I think everybody that hears the word scraping who's listening to this, you get to scrape things and then put the data somewhere and automate it into a workflow. I'm like, my head is exploding. I want to do it. So Armen,
That's awesome.
thanks again for coming on the show. Really appreciate it and looking forward to following up with you.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Great.